I was sat at my desk this morning and I was trying to really deep dive into some of the pain that I felt in the past so that I can revisit it, sort of re-feel it as well, just so I can talk about it today for you in a YouTube video, which hopefully helps some of you guys out who might be struggling with some of the same stuff. And that's when I remembered something which happened to me, which I've buried so deeply into my subconscious because it was just so painful. It was almost like a traumatic event. And that's when I was sat in class and I was probably around 14 to 15 years old at this point. And I went to a pretty rough school. Shortly after I finished school, actually, the whole school shut down, so you can probably imagine how rough the school was. But I was in class with my best friend, and it's one of those classic classes where you sort of determine very early on that it's not a very productive class. You don't give too much of a shit about the subject that you're being taught, so you decide to kind of just goof around, right? So here I am, I'm goofing around with my best friend in this class, and then we get given a group activity, which means the whole class is now talking amongst each other. Tables were all sharing different ideas, but me and my friend, like I say, we didn't really give too much of a shit about this subject, so we kind of just kept to ourselves. We were just chatting amongst ourselves like we did. And it was at this point that my friend said something that got me real good, okay? Me and my friend, we used to just sit there and make each other laugh, and he said something which in hindsight probably isn't even that funny. I don't remember what it was, but it was probably absolutely hilarious if we're measuring the humor by a 15-year-old's standards, okay? Probably a fucking Doge meme or something. But he said something and it fucking got me real good, and I was howling. I was howling with laughter. And what's important to note as well before I go into what happened is, one, we were just keeping to ourselves. We weren't involving anyone else. And two, the humor and whatever made me laugh, it wasn't mean-spirited in any way. We wasn't laughing at someone. We wasn't taking the piss out of anyone. It was just a silly inside joke, probably about a video game that we were playing at the time. Whatever, it was very innocent, that's what I'm saying. But as I was howling with laughter, this boy who was sat opposite me on the table was just looking at me with this very deadpan expression. And he goes, "Sam, your teeth are so fucked." And my laughter very quickly ceased, because obviously I'm laughing, my mouth is fully open, ha 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 ha, like a full-on belly laugh. I used to have this very crazy laugh where I'd just go, tee, like fucking really high-pitched and shit. I was just howling. But very quickly, just stopped. No more laughter. And then he continues with, "Why are your teeth so fucked, Sam?" Not an ounce of expression in his face, just saying it to be mean-spirited as fuck. I very quickly went from being really whimsically happy and joyful to just being completely devastated. I don't even remember what I responded with, if I responded. But I remember the rest of that class because, like I say, I just sort of buried this memory in my subconscious. It's genuinely very painful. It was almost traumatic to me. But I just spent the rest of that class silent, staring into the desk, just zoning out, disassociating, and I didn't laugh anymore, no more laughter. And it was at that point where I became very hyper self-conscious over my smile, my teeth specifically. I trained myself to cover my mouth whenever I laughed, and I also trained myself to smile in a way which didn't show my bottom teeth. And with that, I conditioned myself to never smile subconsciously, because otherwise I'd be showing my natural smile, and my natural smile is what made me victimized in that moment, in that classroom. It's what got me judged. Imagine that. I trained myself to never smile subconsciously. And you might be thinking, "Sam, that's not that big of a deal. Just because you can't smile doesn't mean you can't be happy." Well, smiling actually goes far beyond the physical act of smiling. When you smile, you're actually telling your brain to release the hormones which are associated with being happy. Which is why when you feel down, if you force a smile onto your face, you'll actually start to feel better, and you'll actually begin to smile naturally. You hear that advice quite often. So it goes far beyond just the physical act of smiling. Let me put it this way. Imagine if every single time you went to smile, if something made you happy, if you saw a bird and it brought a smile to your face, your brain would subconsciously remember that event in that classroom, and you would immediately revisit this traumatizing event which prevented you from smiling. Every single time you go to smile, it becomes a negative thing. Very quickly, Smiling was conditioned out of me. I did not smile anymore. And if I did smile, it would have to be a very calculated smile because I'd smile in a way which wasn't natural to me, which didn't show my bottom teeth. Every single time I smiled, I was reminded of the fact that my bottom teeth were fucked up. And I was reminded of this horrible, horrible event. The trigger for me reliving this traumatic event was literally just smiling. The absolute baseline, fundamental joys of being a human being, smiling, would bring me back to a very dark place. And that's probably why I forgot that this even happened until I sat down this morning and fully thought about things like what actually really fucked me up when I was younger, which other young men who might be watching me on YouTube might be going through themselves, because maybe you're watching this and you've had something similar happen to you. Maybe it's not your smile, maybe it's not your teeth, maybe it's something else. You might be wondering, you know, I should address the elephant in the room, why I was self-conscious about my bottom teeth, and I'll show you now. Here's a picture of my bottom teeth before I fixed them. As you can see, they're pretty fucked up. It's those British incest fucking genes, okay? Many generations of inbreeding. But to be honest, my family, we couldn't afford braces. We couldn't afford to fix my teeth. And in the UK, you actually get free braces before you reach the age of 18, but my dentist was just literally trolling me. Every time I went to go and try and get braces, it was a 9-month waiting list. And then I'd wait, and then I would say, oh, well, sorry, Sam, your teeth aren't suitable to have braces. What the fuck does that mean? So then I'd wait again, and basically, I just ran out of time. I reached 18 and I could no longer get free braces. I was too depressed and anxious at this time to take more initiative and to try and seek solutions, aka find a different dentist which wasn't a complete dickhead. I didn't have the initiative. I was too young, I was too crippled with mental illness. And my dad wasn't in the picture, he wasn't involved in my dentistry. And my mom, God bless her, but for God's sake, she's far too agreeable. She just goes along with shit. Oh yeah, he's not suitable for braces. Yeah, that's okay, no problem, we'll try again in 9 months. No, fuck that. Give my fucking son braces. That's what a man is good for. You know, they don't necessarily just agree with shit which isn't fair, because it wasn't fair. When I reached 18, I actually switched dentist, and immediately I asked for braces and they said, yeah, of course you can. It'll be £6,000. Suddenly my teeth are totally okay to have braces now that they can get money from it. But it was a different dentist anyway, it wasn't their fault. But that just really annoyed me and I got trolled hard and I didn't get the solution to my teeth issue which I needed. This happens far too often for young men. You might have something which makes you really insecure, and I was lucky enough to be able to fix it. Don't get me wrong, as you can see, my teeth are much better nowadays. Don't get me wrong though, it wasn't easy for me to fix it. I spent a lot of money, and the plan which I had to go on was double the length of an average plan because of how fucked up my bottom teeth were. They were really crowded, they were overlapping each other, and a lot of the treatment was just creating more space so that all of my teeth could fit. So I was on a plan which was double the length it should have been, and it's not fun being on these Invisalign plans. You have to fucking wear these plastic things in your teeth all day. And then on top of that, it was double the price. It was expensive, and I wasn't making money, great money anyway at this point. So I don't want you to think it was easy for me to fix this, because it wasn't as easy as it should have been. But I don't regret it at all. If you're able to fix your insecurity in a reasonable manner, I absolutely strongly suggest that you go through the motions of doing that, because it's improved my quality of life massively. I don't feel self-conscious about my smile anymore. Let's say that you can't do anything about your insecurity though, and maybe you've been bullied in a similar way that I did. I have a few insecurities right now which I cannot feasibly fix, and it used to affect me a lot more, but nowadays I give far less of a shit about them. But still, these are insecurities I have which I cannot fix, and maybe that's you watching this video. And of course, there's usually tips and tricks that you can follow on fucking some autistic Reddit thread, which makes it more manageable, you know. But ideally, we want to be in a position where if you get bullied for something like that, it's not going to be a massive detriment to your life going forward for years upon years upon years to come, like it was for me. I trained myself to literally not fucking smile. Do you know how painful that is? Every single time I felt the slightest bit of joy, I was reminded of my crippling insecurities, which conditioned me to just never be happy. It certainly contributed to my mental breakdown that I had numerous years later. I woke up one morning to go to college. I was 17 at this point. I was 9 months into my first year of college, and I straight up just had a psychotic mental breakdown, crying hysterically. And from that point, I dropped out of college, dropped my education, and I got diagnosed with clinical depression, anxiety, and I spent the next 3 or 4 years straight up just rotting in my room, playing video games. My entire life could have been fucking ruined. But luckily for me, I've fucking harnessed my pain and I've been able to turn my life around. And that's an amazing thing. But ideally, you don't want to be in a situation where your entire fucking life's trajectory is thrown into a plummet of not reaching the age of 25 because you're convinced you're going to fucking off yourself. You don't want to be alive. You don't care anymore. You don't even brush your teeth anymore because you don't give a shit about being alive. You don't have any plans to be alive. That's the detriment it had on me. I'm not saying that single event was the reason, but I'm saying it definitely contributed. I wish to God that when that happened, when that kid just very viciously decided to bully me for no good fucking reason, I got up from my chair and I punched the ever-living shit out of his face until I broke numerous teeth out of his stupid fucking skull. I wish I grabbed him and I slammed his head into the corner of the desk until his teeth looked as fucked up as mine. Sam, you're not supposed to say that. You're inciting violence, Sam. I don't care. I don't fucking care. The fact I sat there and I took that vicious attack upon my character and did nothing about it, I sat there and took it like a little bitch, contributed to my awful self-esteem, and it altered how I behave for years upon years to come. I conditioned myself to not fucking smile. And that culminated into me dropping out of college, getting clinically depressed, anxious, rotting in my room for fucking years. If I had got up and I had smashed that kid's fucking face in, at least I could hold my head high knowing I defended my pride and my honor. And at least I'd know that if anyone decided that they were foolish enough to fucking cross me again, they would get smashed up too. And sure, I would have got kicked out of school for a couple of weeks and I would have got into some trouble, but I would take that hands down over what actually happened to me because I didn't stick up for myself. The gradual grinding down of your mental psyche and your self-esteem because you're unable to stick up for yourself is the most evil and destructive way to destroy any young man. And all of the psyoped men watching this video right now are all fucking losing their minds along with all the women. You can't say that, Sam! You should be the bigger man and just tell the teacher. You have fucking no idea, right? But you who thinks that way, you've already lost the battle. You don't even fucking know it yet. There is nothing admirable about a man who is incapable of violence and defending what is his. Let's say you're walking down the road, you're walking with your mother, and she starts to get attacked. They're trying to fucking rape your mother, okay? What are you gonna do? Tell the fucking teacher? Let's be real. They're trying to fucking rape your mother. What are you gonna do? As a man, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna run away and find someone to help? Are you fuck? You're gonna go down fighting like a fucking man. The men go down with the sinking ship. That's how it fucking goes. Because that's what men are. And guess what? Even if you don't go down fighting, even if you run away like a fucking coward and you leave your mom to get fucking attacked like that, even if you do sneak onto the life raft when there's still women and children who need to get onto that life raft so that they can fucking survive, even if you barge past them and take their place, you'll live, but it will haunt you for the rest of your fucking shitty existence anyway. And you'll probably end up hanging yourself from the fucking guilt. You're no man at all and you'll die alone in dishonor. The samurais used to literally carve their own guts out with their own swords rather than die in dishonor. That's how powerful this shit is. And you've been psyoped to believe that you don't have a duty as a man to be capable of violence. You need to be capable of defending what's yours, your morality, your character, your values. You're gonna allow some little punk kid to openly and brazenly disrespect you in that way without smashing his fucking face in. Wrong, buddy. Fucking wrong. Of course you have to be capable of violence. Of course, especially if you're ugly. Especially if you have some fucked up teeth. Now, I don't consider myself ugly. I think I've glowed up quite nicely, but let's say you are just straight up, genetically, not conventionally attractive, okay? And you see this with MMA fighters all the time. Maybe you're not built for this TikTok pretty boy shit, okay? But even still, these MMA fighters, they still pull baddies. How? They still have a sick circle of friends. And that's just because they're dangerous as fuck. They can't be pretty, sure, but they can, sure as fuck, smash someone's face in if needed. And nothing will turn a girl off more than if you're incapable of violence and defending her specifically. And also your own values, your own morality, your own character, your people, your principles. So quite frankly, I deserved that mental breakdown and all of those years of pain in a weird way because I allowed myself to get tricked into thinking like a little bitch. Don't get me wrong. I don't blame myself for that. I have zero self-hate for that because I was conditioned from a very young age into this line of thinking. I was surrounded by women who don't understand this shit. Women just don't get it, okay? Women have never ever had to fight physically for anything. And if they did, they were just straight up fucking dead. So it's not built into their genetic code to understand the underlying violence which keeps the world at balance. All of my teachers were women. I lived in a single parent household with my mom. And whenever I did seek any advice, it would be, oh, be the bigger man, Sam, tell the teacher. So I don't hate myself for that. What I do hate is the fact that still young men are being tricked into this line of thinking. Let me make this clear. If you are incapable of violence, they'll take everything away from you. Your smile, your friends, your women, your values, your self-esteem, your potential. The point of this video is as follows. You have an insecurity. Cool, don't we all? Can you do anything about it? If reasonably you can, then you should. Even if there's quite a lot of friction, it's expensive, whatever. Get it done, it's worth it for the self-esteem update, okay? But if you can't do anything about it, then firm it. Just fucking firm it, okay? I see UFC fighters, they're like 5'3". They're fucking killers. And they have hot wives, okay? It's fucking possible. And quite frankly, they could probably spark out 98% of the world's over 6 foot population. And that's what matters, okay? If you can't be pretty, then just be a fucking killer. Be someone who's worthy. Be someone who's willing to fucking fight for what they believe in. And very importantly, no matter if you can do something about your insecurity or not, if anyone disrespects you outright, for no fucking reason at all, smash their fucking face in. They won't do it again. You don't have to be the best fighter in the world, just be willing to throw some fucking hands. Boys, if you want to learn how to make money online from the comfort of your bedroom or traveling world with your laptop, I teach over 500 young men how to do exactly that through video editing. And as you can see on the screen here, we're getting excellent results inside of my Academy of Excellence. You could be next. Take care, boys.